Casella Waste Systems held its fourth and final informational meeting on the expansion of the Juniper Ridge landfill tonight. Casella proposed an expansion of the state-owned landfill that would provide nearly 12 million cubic yards and 11 years of disposable capacity. Tonight's meeting focused on seagulls, landfill design, operations, and noise assessments. Some residents and environmental organizations spoke out, saying the expansion is environmental injustice. Casella representatives spoke about protective measures to maintain gases and keep water clean.
So they're bringing this plastic cap up as soon as possible and covering stuff as much as possible because nobody wants the leachate, nobody wants to be a nuisance, nobody wants the vectors, nobody wants the methane. It's way better if the methane goes out and gets treated.
To learn more about the Juniper Ridge landfill and view the previous presentations, you can follow the link on our website or mobile app.